This is the Chefpreneur podcast, where we inspire professional cooks to take on greater risk to build a personal chef business for themselves. Now, here's your host, Andres Hinojosa.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in to the Chefpreneur podcast. I am your host, Andres Hinojosa. Thank you so much for listening today. Hey, I just wanted to give you guys a shout out and say thank you so much for your guys' support for this podcast. It's been surreal for me to see this movement grow, and I'm just really excited about the future for all of us as chefs wanting to kind of create our own business and be our own boss. And also, I just wanted to apologize again. I did take a week off for Thanksgiving, so we had no podcast last week, but we're back in full swing this week, and I'm really excited about today's podcast. But first, we do a little question and answer segment here in the podcast. So we did have a question come in from Angela, and she asked, how much should I spend on a logo? Hey, you know what, Angela? Really, really good question. For me personally, I don't think that the logo is so important, and I know that kind of probably breaks everyone's kind of thought process about what logos are. Now, logos are important. I'm not saying that they don't serve a purpose and they don't create a brand image for you, but like we've talked about on this podcast, and in my personal opinion, your culture and the way that you approach guests and your messaging are far more superior than any logo you can buy. So in the program, I do teach about getting a logo, and honestly, keep it under $100 if even that, because it's not going to make or break your actual business. Now, some people think that the logo is what everybody's going to go for. And it's really not. That's not why people, basically buy products or services, not because of a logo. In fact, the simpler the logo, the better, because it becomes easier for people to recognize it, such as when you think of the big brand names of like Nike or McDonald's or, any of these larger companies. You're just basically, it's a thought process of really seeing the logo and automatically knowing what they are because they're such an icon. And all those logos have one thing in common. They're simple. So I would definitely just focus on keeping it simple. As far as colors and things like that go, that's really kind of up to you. There is some research on different colors and how they invoke different emotions, such as, red. I know it's sometimes a sign of eating or food. So there's different colors that can go with different logos, and it affects them in a certain way, but I wouldn't dive into too much of those things. I really would just stick to keeping it simple, keeping it basic, straightforward. It does have to kind of line up, obviously, with what you do. So you're probably not going to have a truck on a logo that, for a personal chef business, but I mean, you want to keep it in that same realm of what you're offering, but it's not the biggest thing and the most important thing of why people are actually going to hire you. So Angela, I don't want you to get too caught up on it, and I don't want you to spend a lot of money on it, because it really, at the bottom line, it's your culture and the way your messaging is that are really going to attract those clients and really get your business to grow. But great question. Thank you so much. Hey, if you guys have a question, you can get into our Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. You can ask us a question there, or if you send a question to podcast@chefpreneurprogram.com. That's podcast@chefpreneurprogram.com. You guys can send us your questions directly through email, or like I said, through our private Facebook group, which is free for you guys, the Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. You guys can search it into the Facebook search bar and find that group, no problem, and join it and be able to give us your guys' questions. So thank you so much for that. With that being said, I wanted to dive right into our topic today, which is money evil? Now, this is something that might be a little different. It's a different podcast today, but I've been really discussing this with several people, not only in the program, but also outside of the program, just friends that I have. And a lot of people have a misconception that they think that money is evil. Now, I could go off on tons of tangents about this because I personally do not think money is evil. And sometimes we almost feel guilty for I guess you would say wanting more money or wanting something, right? But I have to break that stipulation. I have to break that thought you have in your mind about that. We could sit here and discuss capitalism and all types of things like that, but I'm not even going to get into that. I'm going to talk about money specifically and how money, in my personal opinion, is nothing but a tool. I'm going to start off by giving you guys a simple metaphor or analogy, okay? When a house is burning down, right? You have a house on fire, literally. Okay, you're going to call 911, and who's going to show up? A firefighter, right? The firefighter is going to come, and we all know that on the truck, they have a specific amount of water. So he's hooking up his hose, they're, getting it ready, and they're going to start to put out the fire. And they use water, right? Of course, you can use a fire extinguisher and all that, right? But in general, they're pulling up to a house that's burning or a building that's burning. They're going to use a large hose with water in it, right? And you're giving this firefighter water, and you're supplying him with water to put out this fire. And all of a sudden, he runs out of water. What does he do? Right? He starts tapping into probably the local water hydrant right there on the block in the neighborhood, right? So he hooks up his hose, they're getting the water hydrant going, and pretty much he has an endless supply of water to put out the fire. Now, one of the things that I want to why I'm using this analogy, right, of a firefighter obviously putting out a fire with water, is that how do you drown someone? What's the same way that you can use water? You can drown someone, right? So in one spectrum, the firefighter is using water to put out a burning building so it doesn't spread. He's using it for good. Someone else could be using water to drown someone. Now, let me ask you a question. Is water evil? Would you say water is evil? No, it's not. Listen, this is exactly how money is. Money is nothing but a tool. In fact, it was I've read a book that I love, and it's called Thou Shalt Prosper, the 10 Commandments of Making Money, and it's by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Rabbi Lapin. And I would really highly suggest that book. There's a lot of principles in there. It's a very long book, okay? So it's extreme. But one of the things that I loved about what he said was money is nothing but a measure of how well you serve another human being. That's exactly, what he said of what money is. And think about it. Just like you measure inches or centimeters or millimeters with a ruler, you measure how well you're serving another human being with money. So we go around here in the United States and we use, these dollar bills or, money, I guess you would say, bills with dead presents on them. And we give each other these money in exchange for goods and services, right? It's not complicated. And it's a transfer of just how well you're serving one another. They're basically, it's like they're giving you an award for saying, hey, you served me XYZ $1,000 worth of your service or products, and they're serving me, so I'm going to give you $1,000 in return. I'm measuring how well you did it with numbers, right? With a ruler stick in the form of money. And so sometimes we almost feel like where we've come from, or some of the things that, recently we've had a program student, one of the gentlemen I'm working with tell me, that there's been times where he's felt that he's been given so much, he's been blessed in his life, and that, is he asking too much to have more? And now, again, going back to the stipulation of the firefighter and the person wanting to drown someone with water, it's all about the person's heart. It's all about their intent of what to use the tool with, right? Just like we can use a baseball bat to hit a baseball and score a home run for our team, or we can use a baseball bat to maybe lay out someone and beat somebody up, right? Which is pretty gruesome, but it's the truth. So it's about what the person is and the heart of the person. Now, with money, it's funny that people think that accumulation of money is going to give them happiness and all this stuff. And realistically, money actually has no value without another human being. I'm probably going to maybe break some stipulations here, but I personally, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the expression of it's not personal, it's business. To me, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm going to tell you why. Because money is extremely personal because it represents the value you're bringing to someone else, right? So if I go and I purchase, if I go out to a nice restaurant and I drop $300 a person for me and my wife on an anniversary dinner at a high-end 5-star restaurant, I've worked hard for that money. I've taken time probably away from my family to earn that money, right? I've served people really well. I've put in, blood, sweat, tears to be able to produce that income to be able to go and buy this beautiful meal for me and my wife, right? For our anniversary. So it is personal because I'm giving up something that I've done for someone else in exchange for someone else doing something for me. It's really that simple. So money is it's not really a tangible thing. Yes, there's dollar bills and that's how we count. That's the system. But realistically, it's not something tangible when you think about it because it really has it doesn't have any value unless someone's around. So I've always asked this question as well. If you were the last person on earth, would you be the richest person on earth or the poorest person on earth? And I want you to think about that a little bit. Would you be the richest person on earth or the poorest person on earth? Think about that. Now, in kind of a materialistic way, right? If you were the last person on earth, you could go into any home, any bank, you can grab as much cash in the drawer as you want. You'd go down to the Ferrari dealership wherever you live or the Lamborghini or the Bentley dealership, and you'd be able to have any of those cars, all the Bugattis you want. Every car is now yours, but it really means nothing. Because nobody's there to put value on it. Isn't that interesting? In fact, the most important thing is probably for you to start learning some agriculture and how to produce clean water and probably how to produce some food for you to survive off of, because eventually all the groceries in the store are going to go kaput, and all the agriculture is going to go down the drain, right? Because nobody's going to be watering it or weeding it or whatever or harvesting it. So there's a lot of things here that start to fall apart because we depend on each other so much. Think about that. I don't know how to produce electricity. I don't know, you're going to sit down and be like, oh, I'm the richest person in the world. I'm the only one here. I got this big mansion now. I got my big car parked out front and I'm going to sit down and watch some TV. And you turn on the TV and it's, oh, wait, DirecTV and AT&T and all the cable service providers, there's nobody running the station. So guess what? You see nothing. In fact, you might not even have electricity because nobody's managing the power plant. So think about that. We depend on each other so much. And so money is something that's not necessarily tangible. It's how well you're serving another human being. So if you want to make more money, if you want to be of more value, you have to add and serve and add more value to others. It's really that simple. I've talked about it here on this podcast, on the last podcast with servitude, and it's how well are you serving people? If you're adding value to people's life, if you're serving people, then you will get compensated in a bigger way, right? Because again, going back to that ruler stick, hey, the more I serve people, the more inches are on the ruler stick, right? So therefore, I'm serving someone better and I'm going to be rewarded for it. It's really that simple. Now, I also wanted to break another stipulation about this because some people have a guilty conscience of wanting more. They feel like they're asking too much if they want more, or, they don't know if they're being greedy or not greedy. And again, it's everything in this world and the way that our economy and the system works is we need money. Now, no offense, money is not the evil thing here, right? Because if one day we all woke up and said, hey, we're going to exchange, toothpicks in exchange for, being able to pay rent with 20 toothpicks. Well, then if everybody's using toothpicks, then toothpicks become the new $100 bill, right? So it doesn't really matter what the money is. It matters about what the value system is and what everybody is using that makes it worth something, right? And so sometimes we ask ourselves, am I being greedy by wanting more? Now, again, that's going to solely depend on what's really in your heart and what your ambitions for that are, right? I mean, if your ambition is to get more money to make someone else's life miserable or to show off or something like that, then you are being greedy, right? But if the firefighter needs more water to put out the flame, is he being greedy with water? No, he's needing water to put out the flame. And in this world, a lot of not necessarily problems per se, but there is a lot of problems and ways that you can bless and help people with money. It's not rocket science, right? Money is a necessary thing for our lives and our economy, and we all need it to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills, right? To pay the car payment, to get the kids through school, the whole 9 yards. Money is needed. So money is not the evil thing, and wanting more of it is not, in my opinion, greedy if it's serving the right purpose, if you're wanting more money to serve the right purpose, right? just like the firefighter. Do you need more water to put out the fire, or does this guy over here need more water to drown someone? Well, clearly he has, bad intentions, right? So we don't want money in that person or water in that person's hands per se, right? Because we don't want him to drown someone with it. But for the firefighter, we want to give him as much water as he needs to put out the fire, right? And so there's all these things in our lives of fires that we want to put out. Right? Some of us have, family members that are struggling. Some of us have been raised up and have never had certain things that we want to give our children, or you see a lot of times some of these athletes that they obviously come into a great amount of money because of them making it to the NFL or the NBA or in the major leagues in baseball, and they're purchasing or they're paying off the mortgage of their mom's home or their dad's home, or they're buying them that dream car that their mom has always wanted. It's a token of a sign of love, of wanting to do something for someone else, right? And think about that. If you have more money, you're able to serve more purposes with that money, right? Here's the thing. I'm going to put this into a context of eating, right? If we're all sitting around a table and I say, to myself, hey, I have my 2 ounces of meat, I have my 2 ounces of pasta in my little cup of, tomato sauce here, and I'm going to be good with my little spaghetti, and there's 8 other people around the table that are starving. And you're thinking, well, I have just enough for me, so I'm good. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want more pasta. I don't want more meat. I don't want more sauce because I have enough for me and that's good. I'm okay. Think about that. To me, that's being greedy. That's true greed, in my opinion, right? What I would want is saying, hey, I have pasta for me, but I want more. I want more so that I can bless and feed the people around me, right? Think about that. So I know it's kind of a different opposite mindset that a lot of you may have about money and the concept of money and it being evil and you're so greedy if you want more money. I actually think it's the opposite. Right? Because most people that want more now, if more money that you just want to put into yourself, that is being greedy. But honestly, you could be greedy whether you have $1 or whether you have $100 million, you could be greedy. It doesn't matter, right? Because if you feel like, man, you know what? I have only enough for me. We're set. I don't want more because I don't want a flashy lifestyle. And I'm not even talking about a flashy lifestyle. If you don't want a flashy lifestyle, that's fine. I still would want more money, even if I had the comforts of certain materialistic things maybe that I want. Of course, I want a nice house and, for my family and not to feel like I'm, stressed out about money. But the excess doesn't have to go to me. The excess can go to the people around the table, right? The excess can go to other people and other things that I want to accomplish with money, to bless other people and help other people. Right. And one of the things that I've always discussed is that there's two major differences of words that people use. One is being grateful and the other one is being content. Right. And content meaning that that you're happy. Right. Or satisfied. So some people think that they're the same thing. That if you are not content where you are in your life, like where are you at in your life right now? Are you content where you are? Are you in your perfect dream job that you want to have for the rest of your life? Or do you want more in life? Do you want to own your own business? Do you want to be your own boss? Do you know what I mean? Do you want to make more money, not only for yourself, but for others, to help others, to help that person in your family that has never, had basically a good break, right? Do you want to be the light in someone's darkness? Do you want to be able to help people, And of course we can help people without money. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying money is just a tool, just like time and our talents and our gifts. And if you're really good at doing something, you can help someone. If you're good at fixing cars, and then you can help your neighbor fix their car, right? It's not rocket science here. So money is just nothing but a tool. But going back to being grateful and content, those two things are very different, right? Because being grateful, we all are grateful for what we have. We wake up, we have air in our lungs, we have a roof over our head, we have food in our stomachs. A lot of us do, right? Obviously, a lot of us are very, very blessed, and we should be grateful about those things because we are, right? Because there's people that always have a worse situation than the one we're in, right? But when it comes to being content, that means that you're absolutely satisfied. And I believe as human beings, none of us are officially content of where we are. And so it can be with money, but it can also be with our health. It could be with our social aspects of our life, our relationships. You might be saying, hey, you know what? We're good with the money right now, but man, I want something more in my relationship, or I want something more in my social life, or you know what I mean? I want to feel like I want to have purpose. I feel like I don't have purpose right now. Maybe you're living comfortably, you have a good job, but you feel like you're not really doing something with your life that's meaningful, that has purpose. And so all these things are really added up to be grateful and content. Are you content where you are? Are you grateful where you are? But they are two different things. They are not the same thing. And many people think that they are, and they're not. And so I wanted you guys to just see this aspect that maybe you've never heard before about wondering if money is evil, because I personally don't think money is evil. You know, I recently we just got done cooking for all the franchise owners of Chick-fil-A here this last Saturday, and here in San Diego, the franchise owners of all the Chick-fil-A's here in San Diego County. And man, what a company culture Chick-fil-A has. I mean, these people are just, the way that they were family oriented and just being very generous. They were generous to us. You know, I got like over like 30 cards of free items for Chick-fil-A, which is really cool. So we're pretty excited about that, just because I do love Chick-fil-A. And again, nobody's paying me to say any of these brand names, okay? If you're thinking yourself that they are, and I'm not promoting anybody, but I'm saying, you know, I love their chicken. That's delicious. So, but at the same time, man, their company culture was amazing. And the company was founded by S. Truett Cathy, and he's a good old Southern boy from Georgia, and recently passed away. And it's just, he's built such an amazing company, right? That actually has family values, that actually treats people the way you're supposed to be treated. And I mean, and then you wonder why they're doing over $5 million in average of revenue per restaurant, when McDonald's are only doing, I think, around, you know, don't quote me on any of these terms, but I mean, roughly, I think around $2 to $2.5 million in revenue per restaurant per year. And Chick-fil-A is doing over $5 million average per restaurant, which is huge. And they're closed one day a week, right? So think about that. They're doing over double the revenue of some of these McDonald's. And it's like, they've built such a great company with great values and great culture. And I would highly, highly, highly suggest reading the book, The Generosity Factor, because it helps you break some of these mind barriers about what money means, what generosity means, and also even what greed means. Because true greed is feeling like, hey, I have enough for me, and everybody else is okay. You know, I mean, I don't need more. I'm not greedy. I don't need more. I got what I want. Well, that's great that you got what you want. What about everyone else? What about the people around you in your community? What about your direct family, your distant family, your friends, your different relatives? So, people around you are needing help. And again, you could give your time, you can give of the talents that you have, but you can also give of your treasures or money, right? And so money is not the culprit here. Water, in the case with the firefighter and the person who wants to drown someone, water is not the evil thing here, right? It's the intent that someone has in their heart. And so I wanted to just kind of break your mind barrier on that, because, it starts to unlock your potential in your mind and wondering, wait, do I want more for the right reasons? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. But on top of that, it's, why wouldn't you want more to help other people? Why wouldn't you want an abundance of time, an abundance of talents and natural gifts, an abundance of money, so that you can help as many people as you can? In fact, it's the people that are saying, well, there's starving kids somewhere in Africa or in other countries. And so they feel like, well, I don't need more because they're starving. Well, if they're starving, how about, we get money in someone's hands like yourselves that wants to help those kids so that you can help them? I mean, it's really that simple, right? And so I wanted to just kind of bring this all into fruition here with this, and just kind of tell you guys that I personally don't think money is evil. I hope that I've kind of convinced you, or at least got you to start thinking about some of these things if you've ever thought that money was evil, because it's not. And I hope that I was able to break some of those mind barriers that you guys have on feeling guilty about where you are in life and wanting more. And yes, you're grateful, but there's nothing wrong with not being content and wanting more, so that you can help and give and bless other people around you. So I hope that hope that touched you guys in a way. Hey, you know what? We're always here to motivate, educate, and inspire you guys to take a leap of faith, start your own business, and create the experiences that you want to create without anybody holding you back, right? We truly believe the future is yours and you can put it into your own hands. Hey, we're still giving away our ebook. So to get a free copy of our Chefpreneur ebook, go to ebook.chefpreneurprogram.com. That's ebook.chefpreneurprogram.com. You can also, again, find us on Facebook and join our Facebook group. Everyone, I want you guys to join our Facebook group, the Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. It's a free group, but it is private, so you have to ask to be joined into the group. But you could go to Facebook, type in the Chefpreneur Movement, and you'll see the Facebook group pop up. And hey, guys, it's always a pleasure to be on this podcast. Thank you so much again for listening and tuning in. I can't wait for next week's podcast where we're going to continue to try to add value to your life. And we hope we inspired you today. You guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Chefpreneur podcast, where we want to educate, motivate, and inspire as many chefs to become their own boss. Please subscribe to the podcast and join us every week to be part of the movement. To sign up for our free online training, visit becomeachefpreneur.com.